Because in life, when you struggle and fight to avoid something, unfortunately, you end up creating more of it. So in your pursuit to avoid and avoid and avoid, you actually draw up more and more and more, and the universe goes, here you go, here you go, here you go. Because again, you attract two things. You attract what you love, and you attract what you fear. So in today's video, I want to share with you one of the most profound manifestation secrets that I have come across on my spiritual path and my spiritual journey, because understanding this and really embodying it can dramatically change the way you manifest. And in fact, it may be one of the most important things to understand. So stay tuned till the very end of this video. So for any of you who have went through a dark night of the soul, you will definitely resonate with this video. And in fact, if you have gone through a dark night, or if you're going through a dark night, you're actually one step ahead. I personally believe that when we go through a dark night, often what's happening is that we are losing things, right? So typically it's like we're losing our sense of self, we're losing relationships, we're losing maybe all of our money, our financial stability, but all of these things are slipping away. And essentially through the dark night of the soul, we are having to face our deepest fears, which is the absence of something. And this is such a profound experience because in the beginning, yes, it's difficult, of course, for anyone who's been through it. It's the most difficult thing you'll ever go through. However, when you lose something, especially what you have been holding on to so tightly and you have been so afraid to lose, you have nowhere else to go. Like there's nothing else to lose. So essentially you're at the bottom. And this essentially allows us to transcend our fears because we are now having to face them head on. And I want to talk about why this is so important to the process of manifestation. So when we look at manifestation, one of the key components is that we have to release what is called attachment. And what attachment means is that my happiness is dependent on an outcome. So we release attachment by allowing and being okay with either outcome. So if I have a desire to make something happen, I have to be okay energetically with the thought that it could happen, but it may not happen at the same time. Either way, my emotional state is not dependent on that outcome. This is what releasing attachment means. So in order to manifest at your full potential, it is so vital that you make peace with the worst case scenario. And typically the worst case scenario in our minds when we're trying to manifest something is that we will not manifest it, right? So whether it's the relationship, the health, the finances, the travel, the car, whatever it may be. In our mind, the worst case scenario is that we put all this effort in and it doesn't show up. Unfortunately, because we have this fear, it often overrides our desire to manifest, because in life, we manifest two things. We manifest what we love and we manifest what we fear. And often, if our fear is more dominant than our love, we are going to manifest our fear. So, because everything is on one side of the spectrum. If you look at anything that you're trying to create in this reality, it lies on a spectrum. So, the absence of what you want and the presence of what you want. And our mind and our emotions and our vibration is always dominantly on one or the other. And so we have to become consciously aware of what that is. But because we have this fear of something not happening, we have this fear of the worst case scenario, often that fear overrides our desire. So this is why, it's kind of a paradox, but the second you are okay with the worst case scenario happening, you actually alchemize that fear because you're fearing it, right? You're fearing that it's going to happen. So if you can make peace with it, you alchemize the fear. And so you're now okay, right? So you've neutralized all of that fear-based energy. You're now okay if the worst case scenario happens. And in doing so, you actually release the attachment to the outcome because your emotional state is no longer dependent on the outcome, because you're saying vibrationally to the universe, because this is actually how you speak to the universe through your vibration and through your emotion, is I am okay whether or not this thing shows up. So if the perfect partner shows up, amazing. If the perfect partner doesn't show up, I'm still okay. And when you can access and when you can get to this vibrational state, right? Because it's not just a conceptual thing. We can't just say, I'm okay with whatever outcome. We have to feel it. It's got to be an energy. We have to be an energetic match to that, meaning that we essentially reduce the fear in relation to something that we want. And if you can do this, seriously, pause this video right now, right? And take this in, because if you can do this, you can magnetize anything in. You have to be okay with the worst case scenario. You have to be okay energetically with the thought that what you want may not show up. And if you can actually get to that point, everything you want shows up. And again, that's what I was saying. It's a paradox. This is what I was saying before. If you look at the idea of the dark night of the soul, right? Typically, it's the worst point in our entire life. And so we have to face our fears head on. But in facing our fears, we're actually able to transcend them. When we don't face our fears, we're constantly running from them. And this is why manifestation becomes such a stressful process for people, because they're manifesting to avoid their fears. And if you can actually just learn to look at your fears, to face them, to shine the light of consciousness, the light of presence on these fears, they neutralize, they dissolve. And fear really is a concept of the mind, which when it is in the mind, it is then connected to the body. That's why we have the feeling sensation. But essentially, it is of the mind, it's of the ego. Our soul resides in love. And this is why when we transcend fear, we draw experiences in, because we are universal source energy. We are love. We are one with everything that we want. This is also the law of duality, right? And I go into this actually in one of my master classes. I'm going to talk about this stuff at the very end. But if you can learn how to do this, if you can learn how to face your fears, which means essentially you're transcending your fears, you can draw anything in. Because in life, when you struggle and fight to avoid something, unfortunately, you end up creating more of it. So in your pursuit to avoid and avoid and avoid, you actually draw up more and more and more, and the universe goes, here you go, here you go, here you go. Because again, you attract two things. You attract what you love, and you attract what you fear. That being said, please remember that you are a conscious creator. You came into this physical experience to manifest. Really, that was one of your purposes, to come here and manifest. You came here to learn how to master your own energy. Because when you master your own energy, you master the universe. And that's why this stuff is so fun, right? When you learn about the law of attraction, when you learn about spirituality, in the beginning it can seem quite overwhelming, but over time, it's such a beautiful way to navigate your life. So with all of that being said, if you guys are new to the manifestation path, or if maybe you've been on this path for a while, but you haven't been able to take this information and actually apply it in your own life, because that's the most important thing. If you're going to sit here and watch a 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute video, you're watching because you want to get a certain result. Right? So if you have not been able to get those results when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to financial abundance, when it comes to anything really that you're wanting to create, then I highly recommend online courses. So that was my intention behind creating these courses, was to walk you through step by step. The information is a lot more detailed than what I do in these shorter videos on YouTube. And I walk you through how to manifest what it is that you want. So I have a couple different courses. We have the 7 steps to manifesting anything that you want. So I go into those specific 7 steps that, trust me, if you apply these 7 steps consistently, you will see your intentions manifest. In addition, I do have a Master Your Own Energy Masterclass, which I highly recommend if you resonated with this video today. And lastly, if you are struggling with financial abundance, if you have not yet learned how to tap into the abundance frequency, meaning that I always say to people, financial freedom is your birthright. Abundance is your birthright. You know, when we are struggling financially, that is not normal for us. It's not our true nature. And so what you'll learn in this Clear Your Money Blocks workshop is how to tap into the abundance frequency. So I give you actual tools that you can apply at night as well as during the day, so you can learn how to do this yourself. And luckily, all of these courses right now are 50% off, so I will leave the promotional code down below. But I'm just going to show you all of the 3 courses right here, so you can choose which one resonates the most with you, or maybe you want to enroll in a couple. But if you do, I recommend just getting the entire bundle of all of the courses, because that's going to include the self-love course as well. In addition, I just wanted to make a note here that if you guys are looking to work with someone one-on-one, I do have a 3-week and a 6-week coaching program. So I have testimonials on my website, testimonials on my Instagram, for those of you who are really ready to do that work. And maybe you've been thinking to yourself, it would be worthwhile to work with someone one-on-one to kind of get you to that next level, then I highly recommend the coaching. So the information for that will be down below. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Take care.